Born in 1861, Dr. Rudolf Steiner was a great Austrian polymath, philosopher and scientist who made influential contributions in the fields of education, science, spirituality and medicine. He is perhaps best known for pioneering the holistic educational methods for the Waldorf schools. An eloquent public speaker and gifted writer, he gave over 6,000 lectures in his lifetime and gained recognition as a literary critic. His writings cover a wide range of subjects, and he published more than 25 books, including Mysticism at the Dawn of the Modern Age, The Way of Initiation, and Intuitive Thinking as a Spiritual Path, The Philosophy of Freedom. He developed and taught an esoteric spiritual philosophy called anthroposophy, based on the science of the spirit. We will now continue with a reading from Dr. Rudolf Steiner's book, The Way of Initiation, with excerpts from chapters The Path of Discipleship and Probation. Here the Austrian philosopher gives the steps needed for the occult student to fulfill a greater spiritual cultivation. Excerpt from the chapter The Path of Discipleship. The question is often asked, why does a man know nothing of those experiences which lie beyond the borders of birth and death? Not thus should we ask, but rather, how may we attain to such knowledge? The entrance to the path is opened by right meditation. This alone can revive the memory of events that lie beyond the borders of birth and death. Everyone can attain to this knowledge. In each of us is the faculty of recognizing and contemplating for ourselves the truths of mysticism, theosophy, and gnosis. But the right means must be chosen. Only a being with ears and eyes can perceive tones and colors, nor can the eye perceive without the light by which things are made visible. Occult science gives the means of developing the spiritual ears and eyes and kindling the spiritual light. There are, according to esoteric teachers, 3 steps by which the goal may be attained. First, probation. This develops the spiritual senses. Second, enlightenment. This kindles the spiritual light. Third, initiation. This establishes intercourse with the higher spiritual beings. The following teachings proceed from a secret tradition, but precise information concerning its nature and its name cannot be given at present. They refer to the 3 steps which, in the school of this tradition, lead to a certain degree of initiation. But here we shall find only so much of this tradition as may be openly declared. These teachings are extracted from a much deeper and more secret doctrine. In the occult schools themselves, a definite course of instruction is followed, and in addition to this, there are certain practices which enable the souls of men to attain a conscious intercourse with the spiritual world. These practices bear about the same relation to what will be imparted in the following pages, as the teaching which is given in a well-disciplined school bears to the instruction that may be received occasionally during a walk. And yet the ardent and persevering search for what is here hinted at will lead to the way by which one obtains access to a genuine occult school. But of course, an impatient perusal, devoid of sincerity and perseverance, can lead to nothing at all. He who believes himself to be ready for more must apply to an occult teacher. The stages which the above-mentioned tradition specifies are the following 3. 1. Probation. 2. Enlightenment. 3. Initiation. It is not altogether necessary that these 3 stages should be so taken that one must have quite completed the first before beginning the second, nor this in its turn before commencing the third. With respect to certain things one can partake of enlightenment, and even of initiation, while with others one is still in the probationary stage. Yet it will be necessary to spend a certain time in this stage of probation before any enlightenment at all can commence, and at least to some degree one must be enlightened before it is possible even to enter upon the stage of initiation. In giving an account of them, however, it is necessary for the sake of clearness that the three stages follow one after another. Probation. Probation consists of a strict cultivation of the emotional and mental life. Through this cultivation, the spiritual body becomes equipped with new instruments of perception and new organs of activity, just as, out of indeterminate living matter, the natural forces have fitted the physical body with the various organs so well known to the physical senses. The beginning of this cultivation is made by directing the attention of the soul to certain events in the world that surrounds us. Such events are the germinating, expanding, and flourishing of life in its myriad forms on the one hand, and on the other, the fading, decaying, and passing out of life form, all things so far as perceptible to the ordinary senses. Wherever we turn our eyes, we can observe these things happening simultaneously, and everywhere they naturally evoke in man thoughts and feelings. But under ordinary circumstances, a man fails to grasp the importance of these sensations. He hurries on too quickly from impression to impression. What is necessary, therefore, is that he should fix his attention intently and quite consciously upon these phenomena. Wherever he observes expansion and flourishing of a certain kind, he must banish everything else from his soul, and entirely surrender himself for a short time to this one impression. He will soon convince himself that a sensation which heretofore in a similar case would have merely flitted through his soul is now so magnified that it becomes of a powerful and energetic nature. He should at once allow this thought form to reverberate throughout his whole being, yet quietly within himself, and to do so he must become inwardly quite still. He should draw himself away from the outward world, and follow only that which his soul tells him. Yet it must not be thought that we can make much progress if we blunt our senses to the world. For one must first contemplate these objects as keenly and precisely as possible, and then give up to the sensations that result and the thoughts that arise within the soul. What is most important is that one should direct the attention with perfect inner balance upon both of these phenomena. If one obtains the necessary quiet and surrenders himself to that which arises in the soul, he will in due time experience many wonderful thoughts and feelings, unknown to him before. Indeed, the more one fixes the attention in such a way, alternately upon something growing, expanding, and flourishing, and upon something else that is fading and decaying, the more vivid will these feelings become. And just as natural forces evolve the physical eyes and ears of the physical body out of living matter, so will the organs of clairvoyance evolve themselves from the spiritual feelings which are thus evoked. A definite thought form unites itself with the germinating and expanding object, and another equally definite with that which is fading and decaying. But this will only take place if the cultivation of these feelings be striven for in the way described. Magnanimous viewers, we appreciate your company for today's program entitled The Path of Discipleship by Dr. Rudolf Steiner, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2, on Words of Wisdom.